Hello, my name is Billy. I don't know if I should even be posting this here, but I feel like I need to get all of this off my chest. From a very young age, I had always wanted to become a mountain climber. The stories my parents shared with me never failed to fascinate me, and I wanted to be able to achieve what they had in their youth. I started training from a young age, and I climbed my very first mountain when I was 18 years old and fresh out of high school. The climb had been rough, so many rocks and branches to grab on, and not only that, but also the amount of time it took to reach the top. 6 hours. But once I reached the top, I realized it had all been worth it. Being able to see the world below me and the feeling of almost reaching for the clouds was just incredible. I stayed there for a bit, just admiring the view until I heard someone else making their way up the mountain. "Hey, do you need some help?" I asked. "Oh, it's okay, don't worry, I think I've got it," he said as he pulled himself up. He extended his hand towards me and said, "Hey, I'm Brian, nice to meet you." "I'm Billy." I extended my hand and he shook it. "Nice to meet you, Billy. This your first time climbing a mountain?" "It actually is. How'd you figure?" "Well, you do seem quite young, and I thought maybe you haven't had the chance to climb many mountains. But I mean, all the more credit to you for making it up this high up all alone. This mountain isn't the easiest for beginners." I smiled. "Well, thanks for that. It's quite difficult, but that view makes it completely worth it." "Oh yeah, you bet it does." That day, Brian became my closest friend. We had exchanged phone numbers, and from that day forward, all the mountains I climbed were with him by my side. He was very experienced, and just having him around made me feel safe. I learned a lot from him, and if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have been able to climb as many mountains as I did over the years. One year, though, we wanted to plan a different trip. One where our focus wasn't necessarily to climb a mountain, but rather to just relax and have fun. We ended up settling with Norway, where we stayed in a little cabin owned by an old man named Massif. We arrived in December, and it had been snowing quite heavily. "Hey, Massif, right?" "Yes, that's me. Come on right in. It's freezing cold out there." He handed both of us a cup of tea. "Oh, and just before I forget, here are the keys to the cabin." He handed both of us a copy that had the number 52 marked on it. "If you guys don't mind me asking, what are your plans to do in Norway? It's been snowing quite heavily recently, as you can tell." "Yeah, well, we just wanted to relax and try out something different. We're not really sure on what there is to do here, but the snow sure is something different. Back where we live, there's no snow." "Oh, I see. Well, if you guys really want, I can give you a small tour of this place." We agreed, and the following morning, we woke up early to meet Massif. The snow was heavy, and just walking through it was quite a difficult task, but it was quite magnificent to see the way snow covered all of the land, the trees and the mountains. The mountains. "Hey, look at that, Billy!" Brian shook my shoulder. He pointed his finger at the mountain straight ahead. "It's incredible! I swear, we've never seen anything like it before." It was. I had never seen a mountain so massive before, and the way the snow majestically covered it was definitely a sight to behold. We hadn't planned any mountain climbing, but I had to ask Massif, "Hey, Massif, what can you tell us about that mountain over there?" His expression changed to one of worry suddenly. "Oh, are you talking about the Weepers Mountain?" "Yeah, if is that what it's called? Sounds kind of dark." "Well, I mean, its presence is just inescapable. Even if the snow were to cover all of it, you would still know it's there." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, here's the thing. It's called the Weepers Mountain because every single day when the clock strikes noon, you can hear a weeping sound coming from that mountain. The cycle lasts 5 minutes, but with each passing second, it grows in intensity until you just can't take it anymore. It's our little curse, I guess you can say. No one knows where exactly it comes from. Many people have tried to find the cause of the sound, but they're just never successful. Sometimes we don't even see them come back. We've lost many people this way. I just wish..." Noon had struck, and Massif was interrupted by a faint, weeping sound. We all heard it and just froze in place, As the seconds passed and the sound grew louder and louder and louder, shaking all the trees around us and causing us to stumble onto the floor, it kept growing more aggressive until it just stopped. We kept walking for a little more after that, but it wasn't the same. I was truly scared, but I noticed that Brian wasn't. Not at all, in fact. His expression was that of determination. At the time, I didn't know why, but once we returned to the cabin, I found out. "That sure was a trip," I said as I plumped myself onto the chair. I was beat. "Yeah, that mountain, though, and the weeping. I've never seen or heard anything like it before," Brian said. "I know. What the heck was that?" "I don't know, but I gotta find out." Oh, come on. You're kidding, right? "No, I'm dead serious. Who knows when we'll be able to climb a mountain just like this one? And aside from the motivation of reaching the top, we have another reason to do so. We can solve a mystery while we're at it. Come on, what do you say?" I say no. I'm really sorry, man, but I just can't do something like this. "That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna catch some rest, so I'll see you tomorrow." He went off to his room, and the next morning, he was gone. I sat down on a chair just thinking what to do while I ate breakfast. Was he going to be okay? What if he didn't make it? Those questions kept troubling me and stealing the little piece I had left. After much thought, I decided to go towards the Weeper's Mountain. The snow was falling down hard on me, and despite all the clothing I had on top of me, the cold air still managed to bite every bit of my skin. I was getting desperate. The higher I climbed, the more effort it took to breathe in air, and I felt like I was going to faint. I didn't know what to do, and all I could think to myself was, "Why did you come up here? You're so stupid. He's probably not even here." I started to cry, and just when I thought all hope was lost, I noticed that there was an entrance to a cave. I made my way towards it and plopped myself onto the ground when I made it, breathing heavily. I started to drift off. Not 10 minutes went by when I heard it. It was the weeping sound again, except this time it was coming from inside the cave. Oh gosh, why now? The weeping grew louder with each passing second, shaking every inch of the cave. Rocks started to fall down on me, and I crunched down and placed my hands over my head to protect it. The noise was insufferable, but just before the cycle, I heard a scream. "Help! Please, someone help!" I got up from where I was and walked towards the direction I thought I heard the scream coming from. I turned on my flashlight and went deeper into the cave. The deeper I went, the more I started to notice a foul stench nearby. It smelled putrid, a smell of death. I walked more until I made it towards a corner of the cave and turned. That's when I saw them. Dozens of corpses laying on both sides of the cave. Some had their arms chopped off. Others had their legs removed, and others were even missing their heads. I couldn't take it anymore. I hunched over and my stomach let loose. I wanted to turn back, but I couldn't. I had to continue for whoever was out there begging for help. The more I walked through the line of corpses, the more I noticed something even more disturbing. The corpses at the far end seemed to have been there for decades, but the ones I was looking at now seemed to be more recent. Most of their skins seemed to be there, and they were just starting to rot. I continued walking. I turned towards another corner, and I nearly screamed when I saw it. It was pale, and it sat in a huddled position, its back turned towards me, exposing every bone in its body. Snap, crunch. It was feasting on something. Snap, snap. An arm rolled towards me, and then a leg. I started backing away slowly, but just when I started to do so, a ball-shaped object rolled towards me. I shined my flashlight at it and recognized it immediately. It was a head. Brian's head. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this narration. I just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my patrons who are subscribed over at my Patreon. We have a great big thank you from me to you, Alonzo, Kozak, Icy Narrates, Jesse Hartley, Andreas Anderson London, and Geek Sanctuary. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. If you would like to support too, just check out the links in my description. And thank you again for listening. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.